Well, I'm going to tell you what. The Bible talks about fearing God that being the what? Beginning of wisdom. I tell you what, I fear it. Now, the devil can throw it up all day long. You just fear it. Yes, I do. I fear it. I fear it. Because, God's a loving God, but you know what? He's also a wrathful God.
Yeah.
And you know what? I loved my mother and daddy growing up as a kid, but I feared my daddy. I feared that 34-inch leather belt when it was because I knew what was coming next. Ooh, man. You know that old song back in the 60s, Smoke on the Water, it was smoke on my hide, buddy. I knew what was coming. I feared it. A lot of y'all did too. Y'all feared your mommy and daddy. I feared my mother. I tell people all the time, she's like Barney Fife. She's small, but she's wiry. She was keen with a switch. Light you up, buddy. Had you smoking until you were dried up while you couldn't get your breath. Dried up. Then I just killed you. Dried up. You said, I can't breathe. I can't breathe, and she want me to dry it up. She said, I'll give you some more, man. Mom, I'm trying. I'm trying to dry it up. I'm trying to get my breath. Just don't get no more of that. Whew. Flashbacks. Mercy. 52 years old, it seemed like yesterday. But I feared my mother and my daddy. I feared them. I know they loved me. And you know what? I finally figured out about the time I was 11 or 12 years old. Fearing them was the beginning of wisdom and not getting my hide lit up. Okay? I started figuring, I said, wait a minute. I got to be a lot smarter at what I'm doing or stop what I'm doing. Okay? I got to get a little better at hiding it. And all the time I should have said, no, I ain't that smart. Get one or two by, but I tell you, two or three thrashes wasn't more than 2 or 3 times you got it by. Yeah, we had fun yesterday. Yeah, but we're paying it today. But Job was one that he feared God, he loved God, he eschewed evil, he feared him because he knew that God loved him, but he also knew that God would punish disobedience. And I'll tell you what he will. How do I know that? Been there and done that. Been there. Been on the receiving end. I know exactly what it is. But let's move on. The devil began to throw up some stuff. Say, hey, wait a minute here. Since you've made a hash about this man, you got him protected, you got everything around him. They can't nobody touch this guy. He's untouchable. That's why he's such a perfect and upright guy, and he won't say nothing about you because you know what? He ain't gone through nothing. His life has been wonderful. Sometimes you think about that in this world. I've seen folks that seem like had everything in the world. They'll say born with a silver spoon in their mouth, never wanted for nothing. Job here was a blessed man. But we'll get to the point here where some things begin to happen. Let's see how he reacted. You find those folks today in this world that has everything, and if they lost it, Lord have mercy. They'd be ready, they'd be standing on a cliff somewhere saying, I'm giving up. I'm going over. They'd be throwing the rope over the tree limb. They'd be loading up the gun saying, I've lost everything and this is my only way to deal with it. But Job got to the point, and we'll get there and see what happens. But the devil said, hey, if you just, everything he's got, you blessed him. And his substance is increased in the land. God, you blessed, you give him everything. Now, how about you just take it away from him and let's see how he responds. Let's see how he reacts. And he says, but put forth thine hand now and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. Now here's the thing. The devil wanted God to start taking stuff away from Job. The devil said, why don't you do this and see? And God said, wait a minute. I'll just remove the hedge and you do it. Everything but take his life. You know, the devil wanted somebody to say, well, and you just hear him now telling jokes that, look what your God's done to you. Look what he's done. He's drawn his hand on you and he's pressing against you and he's done everything you've got. Now, is this the God that loves you so well? Is this the God that met all your needs? Is this the God that blessed you, gave you your children, gave you all this stuff? Is this that God, that wonderful God? But God said, he's perfect and upright. And he fears me and escheweth evil. God knew him. God knew him. He was solid. He was solid. And he knew that he was planted and it wouldn't be any of that going on. It's been wrong. The Lord said, behold, all that he hath is in your power. Now, devil, you wanted me to press my hand upon him. You know, a lot of times there's people, we talked about this, I think, the other day in church here. There was a comment about, you know, on insurance policies, they have this thing that says act of nature, act of God. You know, your house burns down and it was an act of God. You know, the Word says that the devil come to kill and to steal and destroy. That he came. Okay? It didn't say that God came. Jesus said, I didn't come into this world to condemn it, to tear it up. He come to save the world, not to destroy it. That's another message a little bit long. And he said, I'll give you the power upon himself, but put forth not thine hand on him. So you can't take his life. And it goes on and it begins to tell one after another, after another, after another disaster that was coming. I mean, it was just like instant replay. It says here that Satan fell upon them, took them away, and they've slain the servants. And one guy comes and said, listen, Job, I come to tell you they've slain everybody. Said fire come down from God. They give God credit for it. Act of God. It's fallen from heaven and has burned up the sheep. How many sheep was that? Back here we read that he had 7,000 sheep that died at one time. Now, some of you folks that's got a little bit of stock on your place, on your farm, got a few cows or whatever. Can you imagine going out there one day and your 100 head of cattle, whatever you got, laying dead in a field? Can you imagine how you would react? Boy, it would be devastation. You'd go, oh my Lord, my cows are dead. What has happened? I remember one of the first times I ever went to Florida. I was riding down I-75 around, heading towards Tampa, Florida. I was going through Ocala, Florida. So maybe you know where Ocala is. Kind of reminds you of Lexington, Kentucky. Okay? Horse farms, white fences, and all that stuff. And I looked over in the field and I said, man, there's some pretty stupid guys down here. The fellow said, why? I said, well, they wasted a lot of fence over there. He said, why? I said, they put a fence around a tree. I said, look at that pretty fence around that tree. I said, there's a tree right there and there's a big old circular fence around that tree. He said, you big dummy, don't you know why they did that? I said, I ain't got a clue. He said, when the storms come down here, he said, them cows would run under that tree. And when a big lightning bolt would hit the top of that tree, it'd kill 50 cows at one time. Down the tree, on the ground, electrocute them all, boom, dead cows, dead hamburgers all over the ground. So them guys that I thought was so dumb, smart enough, after a couple trips of that deal, you know, they went out and said, hey, we'll fix that, we'll fence them off from the tree. I thought to myself, why not just cut the tree down? My logic, you know, did McCullough, something like that, you know, took my hand down the field. But can you imagine walking out and there's your 7,000 sheep absolutely electrocuted, fried on the ground, dead, 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 dead. Oh my goodness. But he didn't stop there. He go, come on. The trouble continued. It just continued one after another, after another, after another. Let's see.